Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Breph, and welcome to another challenge video. Today I'm asking the question, can you beat Grand Theft Auto 5 with only a shotgun? I'm going to try and cut down on the preamble, so I'm just going to jump straight into the rules, and hopefully at the end of those we can all have a good idea as to how this challenge is going to go. The rules are as follows. Firstly, it should go without saying that when applicable, only shotgun class weapons are going to be allowed. I won't be restricting myself to a single shotgun, but anything that falls within the shotgun section of the weapon will. Secondly, this challenge is only going to focus on in-mission sections, so the only weapon I'm allowed to kill with in a mission has to be a shotgun. Likewise, I do want to specify that this challenge will begin when the first character, Franklin in our case, gets a shotgun. That means that prologue and a single kill will be exempt before we start. That single kill? Well, you'll see what I mean in a moment. The only other things to mention are that when the game says equip X weapon or forces us to use a non-shotgun, either through locking it to us or giving us no viable alternative, that won't count as failure. The challenge is to see whether or not it's possible where we, the player, have free reign to choose our loadout. The last rule is easy, no mission skips or cheats allowed. And yes, that does include that poxy yoga mission. So, for the purposes of this challenge, the game begins with Franklin and Lamar nicking a couple of pristine cars from someone's driveway. Those cars are just as pristine as ever when we're tasked with escaping the police and taking them back to Simeon. Taking insult to Lamar making a comment about our haircut, we head off to the barber's. The task after that is pretty simple, we have to get hold of a shotgun. I did try a quick Google search to see if we had access to any that are just laying around, but that seemed like way too much work for me. Luckily for us, most police cars in the game have two officers inside. One's a pistol user, and one usually has a pump shotgun. I decided to go on a gentle law-breaking spree and track myself down a cop with a big old barrel that he likes to wave in our face. I take my single kill clause into effect here and run him down to steal his weapon from his still warm corpse. So now that Franklin has a shotgun, it's challenge on. We have a limited 16 or so shots in our gun, so ammo conservation is going to be key. Or so I thought, because our next mission, Repossession, features a single enemy who has a nice fat stash of shotty ammo on him. Kill him with one shot to cause that big explosion, and ammo, well, those worries are a thing of the past. I suppose the lucky thing here is that nothing challenging happens for a while, but everything changed when the Repo Nation attacked. We're sent to infiltrate some fancy ass mansion, sneaking into the gaff and borrowing a bright yellow car. At about this time, Franklin starts suffering from tunnel vision because he never looks through the windows to see that on the back seat was a bloke asleep cuddling a 9mm semi-automatic that gets pressed against the base of our skull when we wake him up. Under what can only be described as a blatant case of legal duress, we smashed the window harder than I smashed my leg on that table tennis table that time, and we're left in control of Michael for a bit. We have to beat the crap out of Simeon, but seeing as we don't kill him, this is allowed. Father-son is the next mission, and if anyone knows it, then you'll know what's coming. There is a point in the car, boat, lorry, chase thing where you have to shoot one person with a pistol. The question now is simple. Did we kill him? Well, if we look back at all the kills that we've already seen, there's always a little animation that plays. Now, we see the blood, but we don't see a kill animation, and no kill means no fail as far as I'm concerned. The only logical explanation here is that he suffered unconsciousness and will probably wake up pretty confused at some point. Thank God for clutch game mechanics. And while we're on the topic of clutch game mechanics, rescuing Tracy from the boat features a nice one as well. While the bullets flying towards and embedding themselves in our flesh might seem like an indication to fire back, did you know that if you follow the outlet all the way through and out onto open waters, your pursuers automatically phase out of existence almost as quickly as they appeared in the game? So, from there, what happens now? Well, Lester and Michael go and scope out the jewel store by doing the most complex and in-depth scouting that has ever been seen, taking a single picture inside and a single picture on the roof. Heading back to the factory, we have a choice. Obvious or discreet? Now, I don't like work, so I choose the obvious option. The only high setup mission for that involves stealing carbine rifles that we can't use, and that's easy enough with Michael's ability to slow down time and a shotgun in our grasp. The heist itself is a pretty easy thing to do as well. break open the cabinets, steal the jewels, and escape on bikes. I don't like the bike ride through the tunnel too much, so I look for any sort of way to avoid it. Alas, speedrunning comes to the rescue. I've got a link in the description to GTA 5 World Record speedrunner FriendlyBaron series Casual vs Speedrun. I learnt this route from his excellent series and I would totally recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Basically what you do is follow a similar route that the AI take below ground, but doing it above. By entering the tunnel from what is essentially the wrong way, well, truth be told, I don't know quite what happens, but I do know that the lack of cop cars and cops certainly make the escape a whole heap easier. With that, the heist comes to an end, and when everything else comes to a head, we finally meet Trevor. To be honest, the whole shootout with the Lost MC doesn't become too vastly different or difficult. Trevor's ability reduces damage taken and increases damage dealt, making him somewhat of a powerhouse when it comes to killing everyone around with only a pump shotgun. I think it's also needless to say that when we reach Ortega and push him down to the river, yeah, we blow his brains out without a second's thought. And this is the point where I really struggle with the integrity of the run. Anyone familiar with this game might have seen this coming, and I know I certainly did, but when clearing out the Sandy Shores runway, obviously there's the water tower section. The game does make it explicitly clear to equip the sniper rifle, and the distance between us and our targets leaves us very little choice as to the weapons available. I make a judgment call here. This isn't gonna fail the challenge, not for me and not under my rules anyway. However, I can try and make up for it, because during the taxiing process you're forced into holding an assault rifle and they want you to blow up the explosives. Did you know that you don't need to fire a single shot here and you don't need to chalk up a single kill? Don't get me wrong, it ain't fun with all the bullets that are flying towards you, but tactically using Trevor's ability makes it a lot easier for you to get to the plane without killing a single enemy. Likewise, at the O'Neill's meth lab, farm, whatever you're supposed to call it, you are supposed to use that exact same rifle to snipe the ever-living fuck out of the inbred meth cooks. But as it turns out, a suppressed shotgun can make a decent go of all of them. There are more people here than I've met in a cocktail place during happy hour, and each of them can do a lot of damage, so Trevor's ability comes up trumps for us once again, powerfully destroying the back doors of the place. What happens now? Well, Trevor and Wade make their way to Los Santos, politely introduce themselves to Floyd, and track down Michael. Speaking of Michael, he has an Alex Mercer moment and wakes up in a morgue, but instead of realising he's pretty much a walking virus, Michael fails us the challenge. While we can get a shotgun here, we do need to kill a few people to get one. So yeah, there goes the challenge. Once we get that shotgun though, the rest of the mission is possible, but the damage has already been done, and our promising run gets shot down faster than me approaching an attractive lady at a bar. Well, it's a strange part of the game now, because an awful lot happens, but by the same token, not a lot happens. While there's a lot going on in the game, just to name a few, the kidnapping for the FIB, that godforsaken yoga crap, and that controversial torture mission, while they all show key story elements, they don't affect this run one single bit. I suppose the issue with playing a story-driven game in a way like this means that large parts of it simply don't matter. I mean, neither does my content, but what can you do, eh? I guess the next key point to us is the Merryweather heist. We choose the offshore option because I figured I'd be able to cut out a lot of unnecessary kills that I might otherwise have to make. I realise here just how much I love the mechanics of this game sometimes. Did you know that when prompted to switch to Franklin and fight off Merryweather, you can continue controlling Michael and line up Franklin's AI to do the killing for you? So yeah, turns out you can even do the Merryweather heist without killing anything at all. But you know what you can't do without killing anything? The hotel assassination. This one fucking mission took me longer than it ever had any right to do. Death after death after death. As it turns out, it's perfectly possible to complete using only a shotgun, but let me tell you, it certainly isn't shot fun. I hate myself for that pun. Someone remind me in the comments never to do that again. All puns aside, now we can really have some fun. Blitzplay is another one of those missions that I was really dreading. Not because of the number of enemies, not because of the helicopters, but mainly because of those damn snipers. I wasn't sure whether there was a failure boundary around where you're camped out, or whether there would be an angle to maybe get to them. I don't know whether it's jammy luck or whether or not you can call me a god gamer. I mean, it's almost certainly the latter. But I'd wager I'm one of the only big brain people out there who successfully took out the Blitzplay snipers using only a shotgun. And with that, we reach another point in the game where a whole lot of crap happens, and it means crap to us. The cosplaying as a cop to steal some cars, clapping Chad Mulligan to get the Z-type, sniping a plane out of the sky, and burying our crop duster deep into the internal cavity of a cargo jet all leave no real issue for the challenge run itself, but take up a nice chunk of time in terms of gameplay. Oh, but the Polito score. Yeah, that does. That really does. Despite the armour we have wrapped around ourselves making us practically immortal, I'm pretty damn scared here. I've not ever touched a shotgun during this mission, and the one thing I hate is going into something in the complete unknown. Luckily for me though, the hardest part of this challenge is not dying of pure boredom driving that damn bulldozer. The best bit about this mission is the satisfaction that comes of seeing them all diving on that train and knowing I never have to do this again. Do you want to know what else I never want to do again? Derailed. That goddamn train is just hell on earth. The amount of resets I needed here are more than I can physically count, way into the double digit territory and beyond. This is a bitch of a mission, for a number of parts. Firstly, there's one helicopter that becomes impossible to kill if it ain't shot down before it reaches a certain point. It goes too far to be out of range of our shotguns and kills Michael. Even if you get past those, you can't get to the snipers or anything after that point with a shotgun, so as it turns out, all of those resets, all of those wasted minutes and hours were all for nothing. Ah well, we'd already failed, right? So going down the long list of things to do, we have to tick off a tiny little box called Save the World. We break into the humane labs, steal a neurotoxin and conduct some totally humane action against hostile men. On a completely separate note, I can confirm this video is totally in line with PETA guidelines and no action was ever taken that could possibly contravene that. To be frank, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that the trip to North Yankton is a complete and total failure. Right towards the end of the trip, there is one guy who has a shotgun, but, well, getting there is impossible without killing on the way at least. Ironically though, after doing just that and getting killed ourselves, we spawn back with the shotgun on us from the start. In a cruel twist of fate, this mission became completely possible with a shotgun after all. Yeah, I know it doesn't count and I know it's a fail, but it ain't a half nifty little thing to see happening. The next mission is long and boring as hell while we deliver the transporter full of cars to the truck stop. The drive is boring and way too long, but in order to deal with the cops legally, Franklin has to stay in front of them and only drop the spikes. Not a particularly fun way to play when you're given a car with damned machine guns on the front by any stretch of the imagination. And while we're speaking of stretch, I think Michael may have gained a few inches from that meat hook. The shootout in the factory wasn't actually as difficult as I thought it would be. I guess it just highlights how proficient the right shotgun can be in a confined space. Seeing as the game forces us to use a pistol as Michael, it doesn't fail us further, but at this point guys, I think it's fair to say that the true failure here is yours truly and yours truly alone. Actually, it seems like failure is becoming a chief part of the challenge today, and it doesn't get much better for one member of the team. I don't usually do any sort of cleaning when it comes to video games, so when the Bureau raid turned up, I chose to force Mikey into doing some mopping. The overalls are pretty fitting on him actually, and the housework is definitely a big L from him. Not as big an L as Daryl John suffered as he's blown off his feet and into the next life. RIP. Speaking of fails, I always thought the shootout at Court Centre would have one of those fail boundaries around forcing Trevor to leave his sniper's nest. But actually no, you can. You can jump down carefully and spray the fuck out of all the corrupt agents while on ground level. I didn't know that, and actually it made the shootout somewhat more fun. Easier might be a stretch too far, but it certainly wasn't any more difficult. But rescuing Lamar from the sawmill, now that was 100% a mission made more difficult. Honestly, the shotgun makes this infinitely more painful for us. In order to complete it, I have to switch tactically between Franklin and Trevor, and use Trevor's ability to get close enough to kill the snipers. Luckily though, once they're gone, the escape is a much easier experience. Well, now it's time for the end game. The big one. We're going in loud, we're going in hard, we're going in loaded and ready to pump vigorously and make sure we shoot our shots across as many policemen as possible. I may have made the image of this heist a little more evocative. Still, it's not actually too far from the truth of the matter. We burrow through the vault wall, kill a bunch of police who are anxious to get a little slice of what we're up to, and fly the gold away. All that stands before us after that is a big shootout with even more police, an escape in the getaway vehicle, dropping the gold onto the back of a moving train, and Bob's your uncle. The game is all but complete. The only decision we've got left is who to kill for the big finale. Michael would result in death by falling, and last time I checked, smashing your head on the ground isn't being killed by a shotgun. Trevor would burn to death, and even if we do use a shotty, Fire's the real killer. That only leaves us with one viable option. C. Kill every other prick who wronged us throughout the last 17 hours of my gameplay. Sounds like a good way to finish up, eh? First things first, the Foundry fight. Despite the waves of enemies that spawn, thanks to the location of each of the 3 characters, there's always a good angle that makes shotgunning down the opposition as easy as anything. In all honesty, if you can stay as Trevor for the external fighting, then thanks to his ability, cleaning up is made relatively simple. With that done, it's time to hunt some loose ends. We start with Harold Joseph, aka Stretch. Michael doesn't really have any kind of issue getting close and personal while eliminating Stretch and his friends. With that done, we switch to Trevor, because this bit really scared me. As someone who's missed a sniper shot before, I know that failure here puts you on the wrong side of Agent Haynes to get in close. As it turns out though, patience is our best friend here. By driving up the pier and sneaking into position behind one of the support struts, we can equip a shotgun and wait for our chance. When Steve is level with us, we shoot our shot, and this time around, we're plenty successful enough. With that done, Wei Chang remains to be shot down before the true finale. It actually wasn't anything I should have been worried about. Get off the bike and shoot until nothing moves anymore. It really is that damn simple. And to really kick off the end of this run, Trevor arrives at Devin Weston's hillside mansion and systematically begins brutally murdering all of his hired thugs, before stuffing the big man in the boot of his own car, driving out to a nice secluded place and putting him through the most arduous, tortuous experience of his life. A lecture from Michael. If you ask me, the sweet release of death couldn't have come sooner enough for him, as the trio push his car off the side of a cliff and the game finally comes to an end. At the start of this challenge, I asked a simple question. Can you beat Grand Theft Auto 5 with only a shotgun? The answer? No, you can't. It turned out though that a shotgun-only playthrough of the game was no less enjoyable than a regular one, and I wasn't really expecting that to be the case. If you are looking for a new way to play GTA 5, give it a go. I totally recommend it as a new and versatile way to explore the game. Anyway, thank you so much for watching guys. Like and subscribe for more content like this, and feel free to comment down below anything you might like to see me take on in the future. Please, join me next time, where I ask the question, can you beat Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order without using the Force? Yet again, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.